Alright everybody, time for a little mini mystery, Cactus Caper. Bess, George, and Nancy take a horse tour of the surrounding mountains with some of the cowboys. As they make their way through the lowland desert, the group hears the hum of a car engine and sees a cloud of dust heading towards them. Chet stops the line of riders when a small jeep appears, bouncing over the rocks and brush as it approaches. Finally, the jeep lurches to a stop in front of them, and its driver, an older man with a sunburned complexion and wire-brushed mustache, takes off his wide-brimmed hat and leans out the window. "I say," he calls to Chet in a lively British accent, "could you be so kind as to direct me to Tumbleweed?" "Motorized vehicles ain't allowed off-road in these parts, mister," Chet responds, annoyed. "Yes, I'm quite aware of that. But you see, the dirt road I was on back there came to a most unexpected end, which made me realize I was hopelessly lost. And when I saw you, or should I say, saw the plume of dust those beasts were creating, I made straight for you, as this is a bit of an emergency." Chet points into the distance impatiently. "Just get back on that road and head south." The Brit shakes his head. "South? My dear fellow, I obviously have a horrid sense of direction. What I need is for someone to come with me and show me the way to Tumbleweed." "Do we look like tour guides to you?" Chet demands, gesturing towards the string of riders. "But surely one of you can help me," the man pleads, addressing the riders as well as Chet. "My mission in Tumbleweed shan't take long, and after its completion I will happily deposit you anywhere you wish." As the other riders look at each other and shake their heads, George whispers to Nancy, "I don't know how to get to Tumbleweed from here, but if you do, you should go and take Bess with you." She looks back at Bess, who has sat back down on a rock to rest. Those boots must be killing her. "I know how to get there. I'll go with him," Nancy announces, pulling her horse out of line and moving up beside Chet. "I ain't letting you go off with some total stranger," the cowboy says. Hearing this, the Brit pulls a business card from his pocket and, leaning out the window, hands it to Chet. "Here, there's my card. You can see my license plate. You have my description." He sighs. "Oh, I am not a serial killer, I assure you." "I'll take Bess with me," Nancy tells Chet. "We'll be fine, really." Chet looks at the card, looks at Nancy, then shrugs. "Go on, get off. I'll lead your horse back." Nancy calls to Bess as she dismounts. "Come on, Bess, you're coming too." Bess smiles with relief and follows Nancy into the Jeep. "J. Hawthorne," says the Brit, extending his hand with a grateful smile. The girls introduce themselves. Then, as the riders set off, the man turns the vehicle around and makes his way back to the dirt road. The girls soon discover that the man is a botanist, and that he has been in Arizona for the past week gathering rare cacti. He assures them he has the proper permits to do so, then adds, "Why, just this morning I collected a beautiful sample of Echinomastis erectocentris, more commonly known as a needle spine." Bess looks around, confused. "Where is it?" The man's sunburned face grows redder. "It, along with more than a dozen other specimens, was stolen from me by a rapscallion named Gaspard Lewis." As Nancy directs him to the paved road which goes to Tumbleweed, the Brit relates how, after he'd gone to look for more cacti, he returned to his jeep to find all of his plants missing, and a fresh set of tire tracks nearby. When he tried to follow the tracks, he got lost. "Since the nearest town is Tumbleweed, I can only assume that's where he's gone. I just hope he's still there." "What makes you so sure this Gaspard Lewis is the thief?" Nancy wonders. "Because he's done this before," he responds bitterly. "He reads my blog posts and follows me, but this time he's not going to get away with it." The jeep soon enters the tiny town of Tumbleweed. Almost immediately, the Brit cries out, "There he is!" He swerves into the parking lot of a small convenience store, screeches to a stop, and jumps out of the jeep. Alarmed, Nancy and Bess scramble out after him as he strides over to a very pale, slightly built man about Hawthorne's age who, can of soda in hand, is about to get into an SUV. "You've stolen from me for the last time, Gaspard!" the Brit yells, grabbing the smaller man by the front of his shirt and shaking him, sending the baseball cap flying from his head. "Hey, hey!" The shout comes from nearby. A uniformed sheriff's deputy has just walked out of the store. "What's going on here?" "This man is a thief!" Hawthorne cries, shoving Lewis backward as he releases him. Then he marches to the back of the SUV and flings it open, revealing 2 wooden trays full of different cacti. "All of these specimens belong to me!" "He is a liar," counters Lewis, speaking with a French accent. "Those are mine. I am Gaspard Louis, and these are my plants. I spent all of last week collecting them." "You spent all of 2 minutes collecting them this morning from me!" Hawthorne lunges for the Frenchman, but the deputy blocks his way. "Take it easy there, pal. Now, unfortunately, it looks like what we got here is his word against yours." As the 2 men simultaneously hurl accusations at each other, "You're nothing but a good-for-nothing rapscallion! I cannot believe this! How dare you insult my honor, sir!" Nancy peers into the rear of the SUV. Behind the cacti, various items of clothing and personal items are strewn about. She thinks, then turns to the men. "I know who collected these plants," she says loudly. The 2 abruptly stop arguing. "And I think I can prove it." The 3 men turn to her quizzically, as does Bess. She turns to the Frenchman. "How long did you say it took you to find all these?" "A week," he asserts. "For 7 days I walk and I walk and I search every day from sunrise to sunset." Nancy nods, then turns to the deputy. "He definitely did not collect those specimens. They belong to Mr. Hawthorne." I have no idea how Nancy knows this. It could be that the Frenchman is very pale, right? He was introduced as a pale man, which means he wasn't outside all day for a week. And it could be that we have all these items of clothing and things behind the cactuses, where it's very hard to reach them. Let's see what the clue is. What's the clue? The deputy frowns, not convinced. "I thought you said you could prove it." Actually, what he just said proves it. If he'd been traipsing around in the desert every day for a week, he'd be sunburned like Mr. Hawthorne here. Or at least tanned, but he's as pale as a ghost. Okay, hold on a second. I thought I, tapped on let's see the clues, but apparently I tapped on let's see the solution, but it looks like I got the solution correct. The Frenchman sputters as he tries to disguise his alarm with indignation. "Why do you listen to her? She is a teenager and a girl." "That's true enough," says the deputy, his eyes narrowing as he regards Lewis. "But this girl makes a darn good point." Realizing all is lost, Lewis's face grows even paler and his shoulders sag. "I have very good sunscreen?" he asks. "Not gonna buy it," says the sheriff. An hour later, after following the deputy to the sheriff's office and reclaiming his cacti, Hawthorne drives Nancy and Bess back to Shadow Ranch. "Because of you, my dear Nancy," he says as the girls climb out of the Jeep, I doubt I shall ever stop smiling. Thank you ever so much." And with that, he speeds off into the sunset. Alright, so that was the Cactus Caper, the second to last mini mystery. So, in the next video, we will tackle chapter number 7. After that is chapter number 8. Basically, we're coming up on the end of this game here. We're coming up on the end of Nancy Drew, Shadow Ranch. So stay tuned, everybody. You won't want to miss the exciting ending where Nancy catches the culprit, she finds Dirk Valentine's treasure, and I'm pretty sure she rides on a horse at one point or another.